For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Ephesians 6:12. What is time? Is it just a construct of man to keep with the pace of our existence, or is it something more? Something malleable? I can't shake the feeling that I've done all this before. The existential dread of this whole situation seems so familiar. Oh right, sorry you don't know who I am. My name is Alex. I live in this rather small farming city. We have a church on a hill and one very local grocery store, and somehow there's a Dollar General too. Life here is rather simple and easy. I wake up, I turn on my studio, and I broadcast music for the town. It's nothing special, just classic rock and some country, but I make decent money off it. Recently I've been experiencing stranger and stranger events. But it all feels like a dream. It all started when military trucks and other large equipment started being hauled in the town. They took over the church as a base operations, I'm guessing. They even put large fences and barbed wire all around it. Whatever they were doing must have been serious. They came to my door and asked to use the air raid siren. The only way to access it was to enter my shed and turn it on manually. When I told them this, they just said, "That's fine, we will just go into your backyard once a week to run a test, so don't mind us." I cocked my head a little, as I could have sworn I've heard this before. "Why, yeah, that's fine. Jay, just knock on the door before you go back there, just in case I'm in a stand your ground state, so I didn't want to catch a charge for taking out a trespasser." They just looked at me, smiled, and said, "Will do, chief." And then he left and got into his truck, then drove off. I look around, and across the street from me I can see my brother mowing his lawn. So I walked up to him, wanting to speak to him. "Hey big bro." He stops the engine of his mower. "Hey little dude, how have you and the wife been?" He smiled and said, "Great, but we have big news." I looked at him puzzled. "Well, what's the news?" "Sammy is pregnant. We just tested this morning, and I feel like since you helped me in my life so much, you can be the baby's official godparent and uncle, of course." I cracked a large smile ear to ear. "Wow, I'm so happy for you guys." My brother then just put his arms around me and we shared a hug. It was nice considering all we've been through together. "Why don't we have dinner here tonight? I'm grilling ribs and my wife is making potato salad. You know it's your favorite." I grabbed my ching HMMM. "That sounds perfect. Been wanting some home-cooked meals. I've been swamped with work and school recently." He just said, "All right, see you then, I need to mow." It won't cut itself. I waved goodbye and walked back to my home so I can start the next playlist on the radio. I get home, and when I opened the door, a wave of emotion hit me like a ton of bricks. I started crying, but I don't know why. My heart was racing and I can feel anxiety rushing in. I tried composing myself enough to get to my bed. I just laid there sobbing. Why am I sad? Why is this happening? I thought to myself. Shortly after, I get a knock on my door. It somehow pulled me out of the anxiety attack, which is good. I opened the door and a man with what looks to be cataracts on his eyes greeted me. "Hello, Mr. York. How are you?" I looked at him a little puzzled. "Just call me Alex. I'm doing fine. Can I help you with something?" I felt a bit off-put by this man. He looked to be blind, but he climbed my stairs without aid and drove here. "Yes. We need to use the siren and we want you to stay inside for a few hours. It's for your own safety." I started to panic a little but kept it under so he wouldn't notice. "Sure, it's in the shed." The man looked at me and just said, "Thank you. Just lock your door and close your blinds. The siren will tell you the rest." I said, "Aren't you in danger too?" He just stated to walk away and yelled out, "I'll be fine, Alex." The anxiety was welling up in my throat again, so in a hurry I locked my door and closed my blinds. Shortly after, I hear the sirens go off. "Stay inside and go to the nearest room without windows. If you can't, close the blinds and cover your ears and eyes. This is not a drill. Do not leave for any reason. If someone is caught leaving, they will be marked as a threat. If you hear knocks at the window or door, do not answer it, even if it's family or friends, and even if they are in a dire situation. Again, this is not a drill and we will let you know when to come out." Oddly specific. I hope my brother will be okay. I waited there in my office and I hear a song on the radio playing. It was one of my favorite songs. "Time Is on My Side" by the Rolling Stones. It reminds me of my father a lot. Him and my mom used to sing this song to us, the Rolling Stones being his favorite band. All this daydreaming was cut short as I heard a gunshot across the street. I peeked through my blinds and I see my brother. He was being attacked. This thing that looked like our friend Aaron, but with grotesque and elongated limbs with a massive jaw. My instincts told me to hide, but I couldn't let my brother die, so I ran out and sprinted toward his home. I needed to catch my breath, but I can see his front door ripped off its hinges. I was about to look inside, being cautious. Maybe I can catch this thing off guard, I thought to myself, so I peered into his home. It was the worst thing I can imagine. A fine mist of blood lingered in the air. I can taste it in the back of my throat. I almost gagged when I looked further in. It was Sammy. This thing was devouring Sammy. It sat hunched over her body, scooping blood and viscera into its gullet. The grinding of bone and the squelching sound of flesh spraying the wall and blood was enough to cause me to temporarily black out. I must have quickly regained consciousness as I see the figure stand up with no sign of my brother or his wife. No blood on the floor, just a pile of black ash. The thing turned to me, but as we locked eyes, it started to distort my vision. Every time I tried to focus on it, it would disappear. But I looked slightly away, and in my peripherals, it looked to have changed its shape. A mass of wings, 7, no 8 of them, circling something in the middle of it all. It slowly glided to me, and I was frozen in place, unable to move or react. My chest felt like it was going to explode. And then, it spoke. Its voice sounded like a rusty can being scrapped by fork, with the faint sound of horns in the distance. Its thunderous voice shook my very existence as it spoke. It said, "Be not afraid, child. You will be saved as you are a saint." I keep thinking back, where have I heard this? I can't remember. Was it a dream? In that moment, the mass of wings slowly moved toward me. In that moment, everything went black. I saw things I couldn't make out darting across the void in my mind. I heard a scream in my ear. And what got louder was the sound of a trumpet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blasts from a trumpet. No, it was 7. The thunderous voice spoke in my dreamscape. "We will meet again, child. A war is coming." I woke slowly, but in the distance I could hear the flapping of wings and the siren go off once more. "Civilians, coast is clear." I repeat, coast is clear. "We ask you to stay in your homes so we can do some research. Please bear with us a little longer, thank you." Within mere seconds, I was surrounded by men armed to the teeth. Holy fuck, he's alive. One of them picked me up, and 3 other men rushed into my brother's home. What happened to my brother? I was still barely able to stand on my own. My head was still spinning. "He's gone." "I'm sorry." I gained a bit more consciousness and realized what he just said. "What the fuck do you mean gone?" I was fuming. "Something just ate my brother and his wife. We can't explain right now. Just go home and rest. We will send someone to speak to you." I reluctantly walked back. But what can I do? Fight the armed men who were just trying to help me? It wasn't their fault. I clambered back into my home and went straight to my bed and collapsed. I can't put my finger on it, but I sense deja vu. It's all too familiar. I can't shake this feeling. As I laid on my bed, reliving the thoughts of my brother dying and seeing his wife being devoured, this whole ordeal seemed so surreal. Wasn't but an hour later when I heard knocking at my door. I got up to answer it, and to my surprise, it was the same blind man. "Hello, Mr. York. I need to speak with you." I waved him in and sat at the kitchen table. "Can I get you anything to drink?" What's your name?" He smiled. "My name is Lucy." "And yes, do you have Coke?" I blinked a few times. "All right, Lucy, coming right up." I brought 2 cans of Coke, slid him his across my table. "So what was that thing, and what do you want from me?" He takes a deep sip of the drink and lets out a sigh. "Alex, we know what you are and what you are. Haven't you felt like you've done this before? It's time to give up on resisting, Alex. We need you." I looked at him puzzled and asked, "What do you mean?" He stood up and placed his glasses on the table. His eyes were pitch black. Light didn't even shine on them. It was all empty, like an endless void. What is wrong with your eyes?" He chuckled lightly. "Don't worry, child. Join my cause and we shall return your brother." I started to sweat. My heart was racing faster than my mind. What is this man?" It was then he reached out and grabbed my hand. I was unable to move as I saw the future, life and death. The start of the universe and the decay of it all flooded my mind. I felt I was everywhere at the same time. He suddenly let go and all the visions stopped. "Do you understand now, child? We were destined to take over the heavens. You were meant for greater things." I can't believe it, so I asked, "This is all too much right now. Can we do this later?" He shook his head. "You have until midnight or all of this will come full circle." I looked at him and let out a long sigh. "Fine. I need to do something first." He just got up and walked out the door. It looked like he understood. So here I am now. I know it's a lot to unpack, but I can't shake this feeling of deja vu. I guess I'm signing off. Until next time.